All right, kids, it's Christmas week. Welcome back, CrackBacks. Your boy, Big Pedro. Of course, you got BG, the Digital Wookie, down below, and Enrique Montalvo, a.k.a. Reek, up on the top. We're getting sports back. NBA's back today. Football's in full swing. We got fantasy playoffs coming up, real playoffs around the corner. It's a fun time. It's Christmas. This takes me back to 1984 when I got my Nintendo Entertainment System. It's happy days. But we're going to get right into it here. Like I said, it's holiday week, so got to spend some extra time with the fam. Fantasy playoffs. I got a mini out that I put out earlier today about my the person who's dead to me for their fantasy misgivings or having a shitty performance when you really needed them to come through. Ahmad Bradshaw. I'm not going to say words. This could be a family show at one point. I'm not going to say what I'm really thinking right now. But for the two of you two guys, I know we got veteran fantasy owners, former champions here, my two cohorts on the screen right now. BG, I'm going to go to you first there. Who's dead to you? Who's dead to you because they didn't come through in the fantasy playoffs?
I can't remember like one specific dude that I have rage against. Like when you sent that out today, I tried to think if there was one specific one that I could remember, and nothing one popped out. So I don't want to kind of just come up with one to have one.
There's one in there. I'm gonna give you a few days to think about it. There's somebody that let you down at some point.
I just can't remember it off the top of my head.
I feel you. The Ahmad Bradshaw thing came up. I was having lunch with another buddy of mine. Actually, you've seen him on here before, Hassan. He's for the folks who are tuning in here. We were talking about just
he looks like Spencer Rattler. He looks like Spencer Rattler, the quarterback for Oklahoma.
Does he? I'm about to check that out.
Come on, I've sent you multiple Spencer Rattler pictures.
We were talking about fantasy, fantasy misgivings back in the day, falling short a little bit, and that was the one that hurt the most because the first quarter, 4 points ain't shit from a running back. You figure you'll get 4, he'll stumble into 4 points. My man didn't even get half of that. Dropped the ball in the first or second carry. And my man Coughlin said, "Find yourself on the bench." Now, Reek, you've been thinking about this for at least a couple hours. You text me and you said you're going to put some thought behind it. What do you come up with?
So, yeah, no, it's still very difficult just because, I think I would say that, I've won twice, and both times that I've won by a lot. And then when I haven't won, I've been close to last place. I'm very rarely ever in the middle. I'm either first place by a lot or I'm teetering in last. So I wanted to spin this positive and give a shout-out to Elijah McGuire and Robbie Anderson, who in the 2018 final, yes, both scored 25 points for me against the Packers when Emmanuel Sanders, who I benched because I had a feeling he wasn't going to do well, and DeAndre Hopkins, actually. I benched both of those because I just had a feeling I didn't like their matchups. And since I had won every game, I knew I needed a miracle because I felt like I was going to lose. Both of them scored 25. So,
well, one of our boys here, we got a friend of ours, Tedesco, that lives up in New Jersey. He texted me a little while ago that Tom Brady was his. Now, he's a Bills fan, so he shouldn't have drafted Tom Brady to begin with. That's just bad. That's just bad karma. But they had a game. He said it was in MetLife. So I'm assuming it was against the Jets. Brady laid a complete egg for him. He needed like 6 or 7 points. Brady threw 3 interceptions. He said it was the worst wind he had ever seen at the stadium. And then the game ended like 9-6. It was all field goals. So Tom Brady is dead to him. Ahmad Bradshaw is dead to me. There's a lot of Meadowlands action going on there because that's exactly where Ahmad Bradshaw dropped the ball in freaking Meadowlands. I don't care what they call it now. It's always going to be the Meadowlands to me.
It is. It is now, and it always will be.
Joe Robbie Stadium is where the Dolphins play now. I don't care who buys it, whose name they stick on top. It's always going to be Joe Robbie Stadium. It's just the way that it is. But the fantasy playoffs, said your boys in the finals. I need good karma. It's all the crackers out there. All the backers,
When you put up the picture of Ahmad Bradshaw, I thought it was going to be the game where he was, broke away for the touchdown and, slid down to try and save the time.
No, well, that happened to me with Brian Westbrook, the Eagles. The Eagles running back too. He said he slid down at the 2. Now, luckily, the yardage.
There was no reason for it either.
There was no reason for him either.
You scored
gone
up
by 10 or something like that. Over. Absolutely. But the yardage that he got, because he broke off a decent chunk run with that too. The yardage he got was enough that I can forgive him for the not having the points there. But give me 2 seconds.
Well, what I was thinking of, because this year in the semifinal, Keenan Allen gave me 2 points, but he got hurt. I probably shouldn't even played him, to be honest. So it's not really like Keenan Allen fucking me over. You know, he got hurt. It's not his fault.
Wasn't he? He was hurt going into that game too, right?
Yeah, he was hurt. I was not fucking paying attention at all, and I was in the semifinal, of course. And that's why I think I'm going to retire from fantasy football this year. I'm just gonna gamble
Forever? No, you can't completely retire from fantasy. You got to be in at least one league.
Yeah, I guess so. You're probably right. Because I was just thinking next year, just like go heavy on weekly fantasy, like DraftKings or FanDuel, and continue to do parlays and bet on some spreads and focus more on that shit. Because I don't know, like these last 2 years, like I didn't do not even half of the reading I normally do in terms of who to draft. Like these last 2 years, I didn't do any pre-draft prep.
Yeah.
Any mock drafts at all. I was not prepared the last 2 years at all.
This year was weird
research.
anyway, though. The research this year, I mean, guys got COVID in the middle, where Ezekiel Elliott lost a couple games because of COVID and then never was really right again after that.
And usually you could watch a few preseason games and spot somebody and be like, oh, who's that? You know?
Yeah.
Try and draft them late rounds.
And there were a couple of lucky things. Go ahead.
This year you're going completely off of training camp reports and shit like that.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Well, I got one of them was James Robinson, the running back from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Solid year. Didn't get drafted in most fantasy leagues because nobody knew who the hell he was. If this was a regular year where they had 4 games, you know, in the preseason, or whatever, his name would have popped out there. He definitely would have been drafted somewhere. But I got him off the waiver wire in the first season in one of my in the first week in one of my leagues, and that's kind of what kind of pushed me, you know, to where I'm at right now. Your boy is feeling real good about his fantasy feelings right now. But yeah, strange year for everything. Even the NBA season is going to be weird this year. We only got 72 games. We got quarterbacks with broken legs playing in Washington. And the reason I bring Washington up is we got an old friend of the program, Dwayne Haskins. If you go all the way back to CrackBacks 1, it was just an audio. BG's over here been talking about putting animation to that.
Yo, that was the best one. I think that was the best one we did.
We'll have to get that done at some point. But Dwayne Haskins, former Ohio State Buckeye and current Washington football team quarterback, he was the original recipient of the Dwayne Haskins Dumbass of the Week award. Well, he's won it again this week. Enrique, I'll let you say why.
Well, I wanted to say one thing even before we get to that. We had full intentions of giving the Dwayne Haskins award to Adam Gase this week, but Dwayne Haskins outdid everything all over again.
Yeah.
Now Gase can get it every week.
Yeah, Gase can absolutely get it every week. But this guy is given an opportunity to start on a team that could make the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And you actually lost a pretty close game. You could make a case they could have possibly won that game with Seattle. And the very night of that game, you go out and get some and put it on social media
with
like
no mask. He didn't even have the mask on.
Wait, he's the one that posted it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He posted the pictures, and then he said Rivera talked to him the next day, and he was like, "Oh, I realized that I made a mistake, and that I let my team and my city down. It's just It's a stupid move."
He gave the typical PR speech like, oh,
Absolutely.
I need to be better than that. I need to be smarter. I feel bad that I let down my teammates, my city. Basically some PR guy prepped him for like 5 minutes before, said, make you say this, this, and this, and that's exactly what he said.
These guys are forgetting that it's not 1986 anymore. Lawrence Taylor did whatever he wanted. They said Lawrence Taylor used to be flying down a Long Island Expressway at 180, 200 miles an hour in a Ferrari. The cops would pull him over, but nobody's arresting Lawrence Taylor on a Friday or Saturday because if you're a cop, you don't want to be the reason the Giants lost on Sunday. So nobody ever messed with it. Plus, there was no social media. There were no camera phones. There was no TMZ. All of that. You could actually live a little bit. But now you got to realize that everyone's got a camera everywhere.
Back then, they could just make it go away. They throw the cop a couple hundred. Like, just be quiet about that.
But not anymore.
I still feel like in college towns, the cops definitely do that, especially campus police. The top players, they're not getting arrested, man, because the cops are so invested in that football team, too, in those small towns. I still think that happens in college.
Absolutely. Well, small towns don't have internet yet. So if you're in Lincoln, Nebraska, or where the hell is Arkansas? I don't even know. It's not Little Rock. I don't even know what city. freaking
Fayetteville?
University of Arkansas. Even exactly Fayetteville. Fayetteville doesn't have internet or cable yet, so you can still get away with small shit in small ass towns like that. Now
We know what
brought up
happens in
college.
Waco. We know what happens in Waco, Texas, where Baylor is. We know what happens all the time there.
Rapes.
This is true. This is true. Well, and if you can go back even further, David Koresh was down there burning up the whole city.
Yo, so crazy.
They have a documentary on that. If you've
The
never
Messiah.
seen, if you've never seen the David Koresh, Branch Davidians,
I've seen a couple
documentary.
different ones.
it's absolutely insane. Another thing that's insane, and it's a link to
So
Dwayne
was he.
Haskins. We're not done with Dwayne Haskins quite yet, but his school got into the Final Four of the NCAA. And I just wasn't on the show sheet, but it just popped in my head a second ago. What did they play, 5 or 6 games?
Six.
Do we need an asterisk for our NCAA champion this year?
Yeah, and that's why I said they didn't look good at all in that game versus Northwestern, and they put them in the top 3. Come on,
Now,
man.
was that a looking past Northwestern thing though? You thinking that it's and I know Northwestern's better.
Probably, but they didn't look like the typical Ohio State team that has NFL guys at every position. Like Northwestern is not recruiting studs, and Northwestern could have easily won that game.
No, if you're going to Northwestern, you're going because you want to cover sports, not actually play them. That's where your boy
Ohio State
up
is
wants you.
gonna get murdered by Clemson. Murdered.
Absolutely. No, 100%. But they only played they played the exact minimum to get a bowl game, 6, unless they changed the rules this year.
No, like the Big Ten, because they actually didn't play enough games to get into their conference championship game. But the Big Ten changed the rules to put Ohio State
at the last minute. Like,
At the
hey,
last
They want that bowl money.
let's get them a conference game. Yeah, if you go to the playoff, you get mad money for your conference.
They need
So-
the whole reason any of this shit's going on right now is because all these schools need the money. They're all hurting. Everybody's stuck at home. Book sales, I'm sure, are down. The little sodas and stuff you would buy on campus is down. Nobody's buying a Subway from the freaking whatever. So I understand exactly where they're going because football and basketball, depending on what school you're at, and sometimes it's both, covers everything else. Pays for
they pay the athletic. They pay the athletic
Absolutely.
budget for wrestling, gymnastics, track and field, or just the home football games. So having no fans in the stands for college football is big time. They need that money. They need that revenue.
Now we've got hopefully the next year we'll be back to normal. But yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I think we're all in consensus here. We've got to have a little asterisk behind the champion in NCAA this year. It just doesn't feel right. Now people will tell you, all right, well the best 4 teams are in there.
You're saying that the overall champion? I just thought you were saying asterisk on Ohio State getting into the playoff.
No, well, here's the thing, right? So Ohio State's in the playoffs, right? So let's just say by chance they do beat Clemson, and then on the second play of the game, everybody on Alabama or Notre Dame sprains their ankle, and Ohio State actually goes through and wins. Yeah, I'm saying before that even gets to that point, we've got to put an asterisk on there. It's not the same. It's not a normal year. Yeah, go ahead and put your banner up if you're Alabama, Ohio State. Who's the other 2? Clemson, Notre Dame. You win it, go ahead and put your banner up. We're not going to say that you weren't champion. Just it's a little different. It was weird. It's like the 99 when the Knicks played the Spurs in the 99 finals. It was only a 52-game season that year because of a lockout. It was weird. The Knicks really weren't a finals team that year, a playoff team, but not a finals team that year. They just kind of got hot, at the right time and got through.
It was the power of Van Gundy.
I do miss Van Gundy. Actually, we have a Van Gundy stand on the bench now. So since you brought it up, let's go ahead and talk Knicks for 2 seconds here. They tip off. They tip off tomorrow. I'm big Knicks fan. I'm going to throw him. I told Enrique I was going to do a mini on that. It's ran out of time today. I will do one though on the Knicks because I'm going to be totally honest with you. Both of you know I'm a diehard Knicks fan. It's the first sport I ever loved. It's the first team I ever loved. I bleed blue and orange. That's my shit. If I could have picked
hometown team, hell yeah.
If I could have picked anything, like if they said, listen, you could be a superstar in any sport, who would it be? I would have been a basketball player. I would have played for the Knicks. That's besides the point. This is the most optimistic I've felt about a Knicks team since 2012. And I'm not talking about championship aspirations. I'm talking about just normal relevance.
Just going in the right direction.
The Knicks have fallen so far from where they were. We have 1 nationally televised game this year. 1.
And that's Christmas?
No, not
No,
even
it's
Christmas.
not Christmas.
We didn't even get Christmas Day. It's on Martin
I
Luther.
just saw
It's
a
on Martin
Knicks
Luther
logo.
King Day.
I just
Yeah,
saw a
well-
Knicks logo on the Christmas games.
No.
No.
We're playing the 23rd, and then again on for our Canadian and Caribbean and British fans, Boxing Day, which is the 26th.
Yes.
So we were a staple on Christmas Day my entire life.
Hell yeah.
Even when we were shitty, they would put us on Christmas Day.
'Cause
That's
it's
gone.
New York.
It'll be back soon, though. The only national game we got this year is the noontime game on Martin Luther King Day, which they always do as well. It's kind of the tradition, like the Lions and the Cowboys playing on Thanksgiving Day. The Knicks always play at noon on MLK Day. But got another Knicks fan on here, and someone whose team is in the same division. So we all have the Knicks in our, at least in our rearview mirror. It's the most optimistic I've felt in a long time. First off, we have a professional coach, which we haven't had in a long fucking time. Derek Fisher should never be a coach ever again. Shouldn't have been a coach the one time that he was a coach. The Mike Malone, who was our G League coach that they gave the head reins to. Jeff Hornacek. Yeah, I'm throwing up in my mouth a little bit. I'm keeping tongue so I don't throw up in my mouth right now. And then the worst coach in the history of the New York Knicks and the Memphis Grizzlies. Yeah, that's right. David Fizdale, the shittiest coach ever. So we have Tibbs in there now. RJ Barrett is showing us a little something in the preseason there where he only missed 2 free throws in 4 games. Usually he's missed 2 free throws a quarter. The jumper looks decent. We got the 2 young kids there in Obi Toppin, who, we've talked about before, and I love him to death. And then the new man on the scene, Emmanuel Quickly. We might actually have a point guard. So the Knicks, I'm very, very excited. And before people come at me here, I'm not saying we're winning the championship, but the wagon is pointed in the right direction for the first time that has been ever. We're the 3rd youngest team in the NBA, and we've got a developmental coach in there, a guy who's a point guard whisperer. I'm very, very excited about where the Knicks are heading.
Yeah, I think we're the only team that doesn't have a starter in their 30s. Like, we're 30 youngest, but we don't have a starter in their 30s.
I don't think Minnesota does either. But it's New York and Minnesota. I think Minnesota's they are the youngest team in the NBA.
I'm actually excited for the Knicks. The NBA is just better when the Knicks are good. I'm excited for you guys. Joel, you've been killing yourself for years over this fucking team.
Fucking years. My blood pressure's high because of the Knicks.
I've tried jumping shit multiple times, but it doesn't.
They're actually headed in the right direction. Like everything you just said, they got some good young pieces. They got the coach. Hopefully, the owner is less involved, and the GM, the president, they can kind of take over and move him aside.
Now the NBA,
finally got
the
some
NBA
good
in New
young
York.
pieces.
Finally. Well, we finally stopped giving away draft picks. That's the people, the draft currency. Baseball doesn't matter. They have 85 drafts and 85 rounds or whatever. But in the NBA and the NFL, your draft picks are friggin' gold, especially with how much they pay stars. You can get somebody in there on a rookie deal. The reason that the Legion of Boom ever existed is because Russell Wilson was on a rookie deal. You're paying your quarterback that little money because what was he, a 3rd or 4th round pick? You can spend extra money on your safeties, on your corners, on your middle linebacker, all of those things. You got to hit on that. One of the things here, and I'm not just talking about my favorite teams here, but one of the reasons the Falcons are struggling right now, and we can't get a pass rusher in there, is we had $30 million worth of cap space tied up in Matt Ryan this year, and as much as I love him, $23 million in Julio Jones tied up as well. And so with $50 million in 2 players, it's hard to fix holes when you're paying people that much. That's just the way that it is. But basketball in New York, which we were talking about before, good?
I just think we got to pump the brakes on Quickly a little bit. You were really excited about Knox. You were really excited about what was the other guy's name? Trier. Alonzo Trier.
You can go ahead and look at Reek for that one. That was Reek was the curious thing. I was high on Knox though.
You were really excited,
but like as a
really
rotational
excited
player.
about Trier. So
but as like I didn't say he was going to be an all-star.
Quickly.
No, I said he was a nice player. He was undrafted, and he actually looks a lot better than most undrafted players. I still believe that.
I just heard, I don't know which one of you said it, but I just heard we might have finally found a point guard.
I did put the might in there. I did put the might. I didn't say we found it. I did put the might. Now, I'm not off of Knox yet. Knox has actually looked really good this preseason.
Is Knox out of the picture, or is Knox?
No. In fact, they picked up his option. He's there for this year and next at least.
Tibbs loves Knox. He keeps talking about the potential he sees in Knox. I don't see it. You guys know that from the beginning.
55% from 3 this preseason.
Tibbs is a defensive guy, so he sees Knox and thinks he can turn him into a lockdown defender.
I mean, he's 6'9" and athletic. He should be able to defend better than he does now.
Agreed.
He
may even be 6'10" this year. Wasn't he growing a little bit? He may actually even be 6'10".
I think his forehead is still growing.
Probably,
Well,
yeah. He's
the
got to be
forehead gives
6'10"
him an
with
extra
that
2
big ass
inches of
forehead.
height. If he got the forehead chopped down, he'd only be like 6'6". No, he's
He's got like a Rockman forehead.
and it's permanent. It's always there. He's gonna be all right, man. I am still high on Knox. I'm not ready to throw him under the bus. The reason is something we were talking about a couple of minutes ago. He had Jeff Hornacek. He had Derek Fisher.
I still can't believe Jeff
Fizdale.
Hornacek was your head coach. When did that happen?
Half a season? No. Did he get a full season with us?
Maybe he did.
I feel like you would have complained about that more, and I would remember it, and I don't.
It was so depressing that I think I didn't.
Like, we didn't even talk about it.
That I didn't complain about it.
So and also, see what I hope for Quigley, because Brian likes to say that I like to let the hate flow through me, so I have to keep that topic going.
Release your anger.
Out of high school, Quigley was a higher ranked guard than the GOAT out in South Beach, Tyler Hero. So
Tyler Hero.
He also started over Tyler Hero 2 years ago at Kentucky, even though Quigley stayed a year.
SEC Player of the Year.
All I want is to be able to say Quigley's better than Hero at one point. That's all I want from Quigley.
SEC Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Ball.
I just want to say that Quigley is better than Tyler Hero, so the Heat fans can feel stupid about not trading Hero for James Harden.
The Heat fans are gonna be feeling stupid this year because the Heat are not. The Heat were before the bubble started what they are, a 5 seed.
Yeah,
that's exactly what Miami is.
Is it Quigley with a G or quickly?
No, it's quickly, like
quick.
fast. Yeah, like quick.
Okay.
Yeah,
like the old wide receiver, Mike Quick, but with an L-E-Y on the end of it. Enrique, I know you're like 12 years old, so you can Google 82. Mike Quick later on. Check it out. Well, somebody else is going to tear up the Heat. Tonight's opening night of the NBA. KD, the Durantula, back in the building, and they're absolutely mollywopping the freaking Warriors right now.
Yeah.
Well, it ended. It's 125-99.
Oh.
What
was the over-under on KD?
21 and a half.
21 and a half?
He scored 22.
Ooh. That would have been tense.
He scored 22, but he only scored 22 because he only played 23 minutes.
I was going to say, yeah, he
barely scored. They had him sitting for a while in the third quarter.
They were blasting the Warriors. Right? Let the dude rest that Achilles and let him ease back in. You're up by 30. You don't have to play the star player. It's good. It may be a
or
rough
somebody
year.
bet him for the under.
And then at the last second, he's like, "Screw it, I'm gonna hit one more shot."
Yeah, he's like, "Go in there, just hit it."
Yeah. I personally don't think, even if they won a ring, which the teams out west are still probably better than the Nets, they'll never overtake the city of New York.
No, they won't.
No,
they
never.
Can win 2 titles, and the second KD and this guy Lee, they won't remember that.
But it's even before that, because it's one thing. New York is a Knicks town. I heard somebody else say before, the Knicks are for everybody. Brooklyn is just a borough. So the Nets only got one. The Nets only got 1/5 of the city.
Yeah.
The other thing is their 2 stars aren't really all that likable, man. I mean, Kyrie's kind of a dick. He's a flat earther. He's a dinosaur. He said there was never any dinosaurs. KD's weird with the burner account where he's arguing with people.
He likes to argue with like 12-year-olds on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have somebody to gravitate to like the Sixers. Embiid looks like a cool dude. You would chill with Embiid. You would somebody you want to root for. KD, you're like, KD, he needs to get a haircut. The top of his head starting to look like taco meat. It's bad, dude. I'm not feeling the Nets at all. You can call it,
let me tell you something,
Homer, whatever.
Nobody ever cared about the Nets. The Nets played in Jersey. They played in Meadowlands. Nobody ever went to the games. Even that one couple years when they went to the finals with like Kid and shit. They were in the finals, and the arena wasn't sold out.
Yeah, that was a fun team to watch, too. If you think about the roster, we're talking about Jason Kidd,
Kerry
Kittles, Vince Carter, Keith Van Horn. You had Kenyon Martin. You had the dude that killed his chauffeur. His last name was Williams.
I think it's Jason Williams.
Jason Williams. There you go. The other Jason Williams. Yeah, he said he was showing his chauffeur his shotgun.
And it went off in his face.
Yeah, and it went off. I don't know. Did he overcharge him on his ride home? Who knows? But Jason Williams, that was a fun team to watch, and no one cared. You're 100% correct.
Yeah,
nobody cared.
The Barclays Center is more made for boxing matches than
even when
than
they
basketball.
even when they had Kenny A and Derek Coleman and Drazen Petrovic,
That was way
no
back in
one
the
went
day,
to the
yeah.
games. No one went to the games.
R.I.P.
So
R.I.P.
then
Drazen Petrovic.
So then them going to New York and try to rebrand themselves as Brooklyn, like, sorry, man, no.
And
They thought
even the
bringing
borough.
Jay-Z on was going to be it.
I don't know if you guys been to Brooklyn recently. The borough's completely changed. It's a lot more upscale than it used to be. It's full of hipsters. Like it's not even Brooklyn of old. No one's
The
going
word you're
there.
looking for is gentrified.
It's
Yes.
bougie. It's bougie now.
Oh yeah,
That's
for sure.
That's what Michael Che has a joke about that. He said that a little blonde white girl walked in the middle of Brooklyn with a Starbucks in her hand and said, "Brooklyn's mine's now." So that's exactly what happened. It's just it's mad gentrified. The only time, maybe one time, people cared about the Nets, and that's when the Doctor played on them in the ABA.
Not even then.
70s. Not even then, huh?
Because it was ABA.
Yeah, nope. The ABA couldn't fill seats. That's why they had to merge. So not even then.
I feel
That's
sorry
why
for the Nets.
that's why the
Keep
Sixers
trying,
came up and scooped them.
Keep trying, Nets. You can win all you want. You're never going to have the city. Plus, my Knicks are coming back. And when Obi Toppin two-hand slams on top of KD in a few weeks, my Knicks are back, baby. Oh, well, almost.
Can we
back.
petition the NBA, let him put his first name in there? Because I want an Obi-Wan jersey.
Well,
all I want.
I have cousins that still live in New York. If you want an Obi-Wan, I'm
Canal
sure I
Street.
can get you one. 100%. Dude. You want it blue, you want white, you want some weird color. You want a Knicks jersey in Lakers colors that says Obi-Wan on the back, you can get that for sure on Canal Street. So I've told you guys this before, that there was a dude in my office that ordered a Jeremy Lin jersey off of eBay. And everything looked perfect on the jersey. It was the right blue and everything, but the lettering on the orange had tiger stripes in it. So you can have anything you want, dude. You want an Obi-Wan jersey? We'll make sure that happens for you. But the NBA is back tonight. We've already had one game in the books. We had the Nets and the Warriors. The late game is going to be Reek's favorite player, LeBron, is coming out here against the Clippers later on. That game, LeBron will probably play 10 minutes. They just finished playing basketball 3 weeks ago. The NBA won't get into full
already
swing
piling
until
off
after
that loss.
Until after the All-Star break.
Starting. I know I'm hating, but the excuses are already starting.
Well, you gotta let the flow hate, man. Let the hate flow. Let it out.
Yeah, but I'm no longer gonna say anything about Kawhi and the Clippers because I'm just so disappointed with them. And I want to hear shit from them until they actually get to play the Lakers. Like, play them in the playoffs first.
They're not the second best team out west anyway.
The Lakers are actually a better team this year.
Yeah, no, they did get some really good role players. They're probably going to.
No, they have some inside presence now.
They got Schrader. They got Marc Gasol.
Yeah, I like Schroeder a lot. Schroeder's a really nice player.
And
they get a secondary ball handler. Yeah.
And Montrezl Harrell.
I mean, Harrell, JaVale McGee. You know that.
JaVale's better on the defensive end, better rebounder, shot blocker, but you can dump the ball down to Montrezl Harrell and get 2 points out of it. McGee's not really doing that unless it's a pick and roll for a dunk.
What happened to Rondo? Where's Rondo now?
Rondo's as an Atlanta Hawk.
Yeah, Atlanta Hawk. He's a young team.
That's your surprise team. People are thinking coming out of the East is
the Hawks.
Is the Hawks?
Like
Trae Young takes another
step.
Like
making the playoffs? You mean?
Like having a chance of winning the division.
Okay, I think you meant like actually winning the conference. I was like, what?
No. The teams there's only a few that have a legit shot at winning the Eastern Conference in the NBA. The Nets, the Celtics are still there. The Sixers, we're still waiting to see what happens if they make an actual move. But
no deals being made.
And then you got the Raptors. It's a 4-team race again. I'm not even mentioning the Heat. They're a 5 seed again. If Domantas Sabonis plays in the first round last year, they may lose then.
Yeah.
And Giannis got hurt in the second round.
Did the Raptors add anybody? I don't see them being good.
No,
they held on. They just held on to everybody that they had. They lost Serge Ibaka. They kept everybody else. And Ibaka was kind of –
and Gasol. Gasol went to the Lakers. They lost both.
But Gasol – this is
pretty much just Van Fleet and Siakam. That's all they got.
It's Van Vliet, Siakam, Lowry, OG Anunoby.
Siakam's garbage.
The Sixers will destroy that team.
Yeah, the Sixers will definitely destroy that team. Siakam is garbage. Siakam cannot shoot.
He cannot shoot. Why do you hate Siakam so much?
Because the media loves to say like he clearly won a title because Golden State was missing 2 players. That's why he looked good. Like. And Kawhi
that always happens. LeBron has that ring in Cleveland because Draymond punched him in the dick. If he didn't get suspended for those 2 games, he didn't win that series either.
That's very true. But, I don't see anything special about that guy. He literally has no skill. He has.
I
no
thought that
skill
was
on
a
offense.
flop. I thought that was a flop for like a good 6 months, and then I saw a different angle where he actually did get punched in the nuts.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
like, damn.
LeBron has been chronicled many times on here. LeBron is soft and a flopper, but
He's a flopper.
Draymond is more of an asshole than LeBron is as a flopper. So you can be sure he was on his back and he punched straight up.
Well, Reek knows him personally, so I don't think
And
we
he's
should call
not
him an asshole.
Exactly. That's my boy.
But
He's not
you
an
walk
asshole.
through Andalusia, Spain together.
He's a cool guy. He gets a bad rep. I could see why you would think, based on his on-court antics, that he would be an asshole, but he's not.
Plus, his name is Draymond. That just sounds like a name somebody be an asshole.
Has a lovely, lovely wife.
You met his wife in the strip club?
Not the strip club, but yeah, they were still dating at the time. They weren't married yet. I think they were engaged.
Well, that's it. See,
Look
that's
at you.
good.
You got the whole dating history.
Inside scoop, man.
I learned all of
Inside
it.
scoop.
I talked to them about it. I learned their whole history, how they met and everything.
And he'll be faithful because, of course, according to Charlemagne and Lil Duval, black men don't cheat. So anyway, talking about back to not cheating, the Buffalo Bills did not cheat their way into their first division championship in 25 years. So someone who was born the last time that the Bills won the division is now getting a discount when they rent a car. 25, a quarter century since the last time they won it. It's been New England the whole time in between, and I think Miami once or twice. They're like 98 and like 2007 or something like that. The Bills.
Rob Pelinka's family looks really weird. I don't know if you guys are watching this.
Rob Pelinka is very, very weird.
His family look like the Munsters.
That's what growing up in LA will do to you. But LA all the way back to the East Coast here. Buffalo, are they legit? So if you were in Vegas right now, would you put any money down for them to come out of the AFC?
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to beat the Chiefs, but they're a legit playoff team. They're good.
Yeah, see, like if their defense was as good as it was last year, I'd be even higher on them. I just think their defense, for some reason, with similar personnel, I mean, I think they lost one of their good linebackers earlier in the year for an ACL, but they still have like their big pieces they still have on defense. I'm not sure why he's taking a drop. But,
they needed home field in order to beat Kansas City. They would have needed them coming up to Buffalo, and it would have to be like shitty weather and a sloppy, dirty game.
Yeah, even without the fans, if you play up there and it's cold as shit and it's snowing, like that's miserable.
And that's a different kind of cold than other places. That coming off of the lake there, it chills you, goes right through you, chills you to the bone. But with Buffalo, everyone's going to be touting Jared Allen. Sorry, not Jared. Josh Allen. Jared Allen's the old pass rusher from the Minnesota Vikings back in the day.
I'm going to need you to start getting these names right.
Real talk. I called myself, though. I didn't get no credit for catching myself.
We do a sports broadcast. You got to at least get the names right.
I don't get no credit for catching myself real quick, though?
Mm-hmm.
No?
Anyway,
Josh Allen.
The other day you dropped the Jermaine Wiggins.
But he doesn't deserve the respect.
His name is definitely Andrew.
In my defense on that, Andrew Wiggins doesn't have enough respect for me in order for me to call him by his right name.
Jermaine Wiggins? Is there even a Jermaine Wiggins out there?
There was a Jermaine Wiggins back in the day. I think it was a baseball player. I will look that up and I will find out. In fact, actually, you know something? Let's do a little young Jamie action right now. I will Google Jermaine Wiggins.
Jermaine Wiggins.
Yeah, Jermaine Wiggins, football player. He played at Georgia and signed with the New York Jets as an undrafted free agent.
See, you should have known who he was right there, Enrique.
Nobody remembers him.
In 1999.
Oh no, dude! You definitely know who this dude is, man. Look at this. Look at this dude.
I can't see that.
We gotta share the screen for our audience. We gotta get a picture of him in the back.
I'll put one up. I'll put one up in post there. But yeah, he definitely looks familiar. He's a red bone tight end, I believe. But anyway, what I was saying was Josh Allen is going to get all of the accolade. Everyone's going to give him, he should be MVP, this, that, and the other thing. He's not the MVP on that team. Stephon Diggs is the MVP on that team. Stephon Diggs has made Allen an actual NFL quarterback, because every real NFL quarterback needs a number one receiver to throw to. I didn't give Diggs the credit that he deserved when he was in Minnesota. Half of it was going to Thielen. He had Cousins throwing him the ball. But he has been lights out in Buffalo.
So
lights out.
So
I would
based
have
on that,
thought you'd love Diggs in Minnesota because he broke the hearts of all the New Orleans Saints fans the one year.
Well, he was near and dear to the heart, but I had never drafted him before because I never respected him stat wise. I respect his heart, and I love him for the fact that he tore the heart of the Saints out where they thought it was over, and there ain't no more obnoxious.
He was like
fan
in
than a Saints
Minnesota,
fan.
he was like a 1A, almost a 2 to Thielen. And now in Buffalo, he's just clearly the number 1, and he's balling.
And deserves it too. That man runs crisp routes. He doesn't drop anything, and it seems to be that the other guys have gotten better with him there too.
Quinn Cook, NBA champion.
Here's my only hesitation with Josh Allen in terms of in the playoffs, right? Because obviously
look at Kuzma's family.
Oh God, in the playoffs, in the playoffs things get tighter, and Josh Allen still, when a team can take away Diggs, he's going to revert back to running. And he still has a huge fumbling problem. Even this year, when he runs the ball, he still fumbles it too much. And good teams expose that kind of stuff in the playoffs. So there's a lot of weaknesses in that, a lot of kinks in that offense that I think good teams can exploit. And if their defense was still top 5, I'd be very high on them because people couldn't score on them that much last year.
They're realistically still another year or so away. But this is Allen's second year or third?
Third.
This is third
2018 draft. Yeah, he's 2018
okay.
draft.
Yeah, so he's still 23, 24 years old. The window is far from closing. Diggs is pretty young as well, but
he's better than anybody thought he was going to be. They always said he was like a project and he's an athlete, but he's not accurate. Mm-hmm. He's fucking accurate, man. I've watched a couple games this year. He throws a couple nice balls and zips them in there.
And they showed a side-by-side graphic the other day. He retooled his whole motion and everything. Yeah. Yeah. Over the offseason, and it's helped out a lot. He's been much more accurate. And plus, you throw him a professional receiver.
He's got a howitzer, so every once in a while, there's going to be one that gets away from him. That doesn't mean he's inaccurate all the time. That just means on 1 or 2 throws here or there, it's going to zip away from everybody.
Yeah, what he needs to work on this offseason, which I think he can because he looks
Plus, he's constantly playing in bad weather.
But it's those second level, because he has such a strong arm, he sometimes struggles with those second level throws, like putting it over the linebacker to drop it between the safety. And that's because he throws so freaking hard, but he can fix that.
They'll learn some touch. It takes him some while, especially guys with an arm that big. Yeah. It takes him a little while to learn some touch. I texted you guys last Monday night whatever night the Browns were playing, that like Baker Mayfield's throwing man passes on screens. I mean, there's no reason to full wind up dudes 5-6 feet away from you and throwing a seed to him. Josh Allen will learn that, and once he learns a little bit more touch, he'll be able to drop that into the bucket in between players and all that. So I'm very impressed by him.
Let me give a quick shout out to Baker, because one thing I didn't know he could do, I mean, it went nowhere, but it was like a Hail Mary in the end of the last game that they casted that ball he threw was 73 yards. I did not think Baker could throw a ball 70 yards running nothing.
I thought only Kyle Bowler and Jamarcus Russell could do that.
Yeah. They could throw it from their knees, though. That's different. Baker had to do like a running start.
They've got a chance to win that division. They're playing Pittsburgh this week, and Pittsburgh does not look good.
It's next.
They just showed LeBron's family while he was getting a ring, and Delonte West gave him a shout out.
Hey,
he's out of Mark Cuban's rehab. Have you? I know I'm the Twitter guy here, but you know that Mark Cuban took Delonte West under his wing and took him to a rehab.
Yeah, that's a massive ring. Did he really? That's good for him.
Yeah.
So there's a rehab center that's like a summer camp almost. That's a little outside of Dallas, and that's where Mark Cuban put him. And he was riding horses and rowing canoes and all that. They said it's supposed to rehabilitate the mind so that they don't go back to the drugs there. Yeah, Delonte, I mean, we wish him well. He looked like he was doing bad. He was under a bridge giving HJs and AJs and KJs and all of that. Whatever they were doing.
ZJs.
ZJs. If you don't know what it is, you can't afford it. So Delonte was as good that Mark Cuban's getting some good karma on his side by helping, bring Delonte back there. But, I got a few left here. I want to check out that Laker game myself here. We're talking about some football. There's coaching openings. Atlanta, Jacksonville. We're assuming that the Jets will have one pretty soon. We've got Houston. Who else? Am I missing anybody who fired their coach recently? Detroit. Who's your best job?
Quick question for you before that. Now you would think, because everybody was saying the Jets job was going to be so attractive because of Lawrence, why is no one saying the Jacksonville job is so attractive now? I actually
Well,
like some of the
that's my
pieces they
argument
got.
right now. I think Jacksonville is a great job. Number one, you're not going to be playing in bad weather ever. You'll have the number one pick, who everyone says is going to be, a can't miss prospect. You found your running back already, because behind no offensive line and playing with Gardner Minshew and whoever else, they decided to roll out a quarterback. James Robinson was still putting up numbers on the ground and catching the ball through the air. They've got decent receivers. It's not a bad job.
Shark and Chenault are like a little more than decent. I like them a lot.
Yeah, and they're young. All those guys are young. So if I'm a coach that's looking at a spot, I'm looking at Jacksonville first. I'm probably looking at Houston second because of the young quarterback. The age of the Falcons is scaring me away a little bit because, Julio's going to be 33 soon. Matt Ryan's going to be 37. Fuck Detroit. I want nothing to do with that city, the football team, or Matt Stafford. And Houston, Jacksonville, Detroit.
And New York.
And the Jets.
And the Jets. That's right. And the Jets.
And from what I'm seeing, I've been reading a lot that Anthony Lynn may also get let go. I know you guys disagree, but I've seen a lot on Twitter that they're not hot on keeping him. Because
I don't understand that.
I don't understand that either.
Because they attribute a lot of the late game mishaps to coaching. That's what they're saying. The people around the team that cover it, they're saying they might get rid of.
I'll tell you what, man. If I had my pick, like just off the top of my head, I would take the Houston job, man. You got the young quarterback in place. Deshaun Watson's already there. You got decent offensive line. You got some good receivers. You got good weather. You got great uniforms, and that's something that's important to me.
That is a dope uniform. Hey, real talk, son. The Houston Texans uniform is solid.
Yeah, bro, their gear is nice. All their colors are dope.
The red and the blue is solid.
If I'm on the sideline and I'm rocking Texans gear from head to toe, looking good.
So here's the only problem that I see with Houston. They have no picks for a while because they've traded so many of them. And going into next year, they're going to be over the cap. With that roster, they're going to be over the cap. So
still, I thought that's why they got rid of Hopkins.
Yeah.
They're going to.
I thought the Hopkins move got them back under. That was one of the reasons that O'Brien was trying to explain away moving the best player that that franchises other than J.J. Watts ever had.
And aren't
you're right. I looked at last year. You're right. Minus 28 million.
I think the picks that they gave up for who's the Miami left tackle, Tunsil. Isn't that done already?
No, they don't have a first pick this year.
It's a 1 and a 2.
Oh God, yeah, it's tough.
No, O'Brien should have never ever had control of that front office. Those are some of the worst trades in the history. Now you just brought up Anthony Lynn getting fired. If Anthony Lynn gets fired and I'm a coach of the NFL, I want that San Diego job. Or LA, I mean, they're not San Diego anymore. The LA job tomorrow. You've got an NFL probably rookie of the year at quarterback coming up. Keenan Allen is a certified number one.
You got talent everywhere.
Austin Eckler's healthy.
You got Bosa. You got Derwin James.
That's why you just brought up the name right there. That's why Anthony Lynn shouldn't get fired. Bosa's hurt. Derwin James is hurt. Those are your two best defensive players. Eckler missed 8 games. That's your starting running back. Both wide receivers have been gimpy. I mean, Mike Williams is always gimpy, but Mike Williams and Keenan Allen have been dinged up all year, and kind of a makeshift offensive line as well. I think they had DJ Fluker still starting on their offensive line.
And honestly, they had to deal with all the Hard Knocks bullshit. I would like to go back and see if any team has ever done good when they were on Hard Knocks.
I can tell you Atlanta didn't.
It's nothing but a distraction, man. It's nothing but a distraction.
For sure.
Football coaches, that kind of culture, man, they just want to be left alone. Like, get away from me. I don't want the cameras here. I don't want you up in our face. I don't want to have to talk to you or waste time on this bullshit. Coaches, like, dude, if I got to sit down with a HBO camera crew for 10 minutes, that's 10 minutes out of my day wasted.
And some shit you just don't want out. And those cameras are there. Guys aren't acting as natural as they normally would be, or something slips, and then you got to go for, run down the producer. Hey, can you not let that out? Coaching culture is very much like time down to the minute. In practice, you're timing shit down to like every single minute. When the horn blows, you want people running to the next station, to the next drill, whatever's going on. And then when you're not on the practice field, you're constantly planning for the next day, for the next week. What are we doing this week? How are we prepping for that team? Even in preseason, they still come up with game plans and scout teams. Absolutely. Andy Reid even schedules in snacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I believe the last time they were all healthy.
Let's get a fucking snack.
The last time the Chargers were all healthy with Rivers starting, they were 13-3. Rivers' last good year when everybody was healthy.
They're a good squad, man.
They got embarrassed by the Patriots in the playoffs, but that year they went 13-3 because they
they
beat
job.
Kansas City. Remember in 2018, in 2018 they beat Kansas City once too.
He most certainly should not lose his job.
That was Eckler's coming out game because Melvin Gordon got hurt. I remember
got a new bottle opener for y'all this week. I got the owl rocking.
Is that for Temple?
This thing is like cast iron steel. I got it in Seattle at a wine tasting. Only me would go to a wine tasting and buy a beer bottle opener.
I'm shocked you went to a wine tasting at all.
But it's like an owl.
You're anti-wine.
It's got the heart in the middle for how much I love beer.
With San Diego, dude, he shouldn't lose that job. He absolutely shouldn't lose that job.
It's Los Angeles now. It's not San Diego.
It's always San Diego. Why do they move? Why did they move to fucking
San
LA?
Diego Superchargers?
Yeah, man. San Diego was a cool. I'm not feeling that. If Gase hasn't been fired yet, no one should even be talking about should Anthony Lynn get fired.
I think they'll eventually move back to San Diego.
Well, they moved to LA on a power grab. They were like, all right, well, if you don't want to give us a stadium, we're out. And San Diego was like, all right, bye.
And do they play in the same spot that the Rams do?
Yeah, same stadium.
Yeah,
that stadium
SoFi,
is sick.
right?
We got to get out there. That stadium is sick.
It is sick.
That place looks absolutely amazing. And it's a damn shame that it's empty right now. It looks like it'll be rocking once they actually get it full. And is the Super Bowl there this year?
Tampa.
It's in Tampa. So it's next year the Super Bowl is there. Hopefully it'll be full.
And see, that's why
I can't wait to go to a game in the Vegas stadium. The Black
Tampa Stadium sucks.
One game that you mentioned that's coming up.
I've never been there.
I would like to
I've never been to that stadium.
Tampa Stadium is garbage. I mean, the only thing that's cool about it is the pirate ship that's stuck on one side. But everything, it's just an open bowl, like an old school, Roman frickin' Coliseum. That's all it is. And it's bleachers.
But that's the old one, though. Didn't they build a new one? That's why the
I'm talking about Raymond James. No, I'm talking about Raymond James. I never went to the old one. Yeah, I'm talking about Raymond James. I never been to the old one.
So one game?
Plus Tampa itself sucks.
One game though that I wanted to add that I think really would have been an amazing game for that team specifically if they had fans is Week 17 Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Cleveland would have just been going absolutely nuts because now you're talking about for the playoffs first time. I would have loved to see that game full of fans just going crazy. Ben has to do silent count the entire time. Because I give them less of a shot.
Cleveland's winning that division.
I don't think so.
Cleveland's going to win that division.
Until I see them beat Big Brother, I'm going to say they're not going to.
Well, Pittsburgh's going to lose the last two games. And Cleveland's going to beat them in one of them. Cleveland's going to win that division. Pittsburgh's done. Pittsburgh was a flawed football team that looked like they were better than they were.
Pittsburgh was dominated by the Bengals the other night.
Yeah,
dominated. But Getz, you just said by the Bengals. You forgot to mention by the Bengals with a third-string quarterback,
Ryan Finley,
backup running back. Giovanni Bernard was playing like he was back at St. Thomas Aquinas.
I mean, they did turn the ball over 3 times. It wasn't like
an 87-year-old AJ Green. The Pittsburgh's done.
I just still trust what I know. You give Tomlin.
Our Southern folks will tell you the devil you know better than the devil you don't. The devil that they don't know is that Cleveland's coming through and taking them out this year. Pittsburgh, their heart's gone. Big Ben needs to hang it up.
This is
even if Pittsburgh wins the division, they're 1 in, 1 out in the playoffs.
Unless they play the Dolphins. The Dolphins are the only team they can beat. I think they'll beat any other team in the AFC will beat them except the Dolphins.
That's your hate, man.
The Dolphins can't score.
That's your hate for the Dolphins. Ryan Lindley just put up 27, 30 points.
Yeah, but they turned the ball over 3 times. They're not going to do that in the playoffs. They literally had a snap that was fumbled. They're going to execute better in the playoffs. They scored 17 points in the first half, and there was never a drive over 50 yards.
The Dolphins are better than you're giving them credit for.
But
I understand you. Don't get me wrong. I totally understand you. I never want to give the Saints credit. I never want to give Carolina credit.
But I'm just talking about
lost to Tampa, and I still won't give them credit. But the Dolphins are better than you're giving them credit for.
No, I think their defense is so nasty. I think their defense is nasty.
And they're not even bad on offense. Well, Gesicki's hurt
one of my
now, and
favorite
they
tight
still
ends.
need a receiver.
Yeah, they need him back because he's nasty, dude. I think Gesicki, as an athlete, can do anything the top tight ends can do.
The Dolphins are going to take Smith, the wide receiver out of Alabama, with the Houston pick this year. and they got to shit. It's going to be them and Buffalo battling for the division for the next 5-6 years.
We'll see. I'm not a Tua fan.
It's a complete they're going to blow everything up in New England. They're going to the Jets. You're a while away.
Yeah,
if you're just going to be honest.
2-3 years minimum. Yep.
Yeah. The Jets are like the Knicks. It's been 2 or 3 years since 1985.
It's like a perpetual rebuild.
Yeah.
Basically,
But New England's going to rebuild now. Does Bill want to be there for the rebuild? Is the question, or does he say screw it and hang it up? Because Bill Belichick's
he might just
approaching 70.
He might just step aside and be like the president GM and let McDaniels or the kid coach.
Like,
I don't think Bill Belichick will be out there teaching young D-backs and young players through a rebuild. I don't think that's his thing. He doesn't even like playing rookies now as it is when they were good.
No, absolutely not. So the landscape of the entire league is going to look different. Though the quarterbacks who have been dominating for years are now, all of them are really starting to get old. I mean, even Rodgers is 35 or 36 now. All of them are starting to get a little old, and the new guard is coming in. So the New England's going to be falling off by the wayside.
But hold on, though. The New England had about 8 guys not play because of COVID. Like New England's still a much better team than they are this year, and they can still find a way to upgrade at quarterback this year.
It's not going to be Cam.
No, it's not Cam. They're gonna have to.
And he's another one. Cam probably needs to hang it up. Cam's not healthy. That's 100%. His shoulder's not healthy. Oh, they've been running Tommy Frazier's offense from 1997, where have you seen an NFL team in a wishbone? They were in a wishbone on Sunday at one point. They're just running power football like there's the Army Navy game.
Well, the Ravens pretty much run wing T. I don't know if you guys know what wing T is, but that's like way before the zone read. That's like 1920s offense with the fucking quarterback running the veer and then the pitch to the halfback.
Well, that's because they're simplifying. They're putting their playbook. They're making it as easy as they can for Lamar Jackson. The opposite of what they're doing for Tom Brady in Tampa. They're like, listen, Tom, we know you were throwing to the running back and dinking and dunking the whole time you were in New England. Nah, homie, we go down the field here. So you better figure out what's going on. You need to get the ball to Evans and get this ball to Godwin now.
Which is dumb. I think that's like poor coaching.
I'm with you.
Very poor coaching.
I'm right there with you. You don't coach. You may have a philosophy. If you watch The Waterboy, you remember what's his face? He had the green notebook. You may have the philosophy and all the plays that are there, but you got to coach to who you have on the field and actually get stuff done. And one of them, everything always comes back to Atlanta for me. We have one of the most dominant wide receivers that has ever played the game in Julio Jones. And he's number one on yardage through the first 10, 11 seasons through. He's number one on yards per game. He's up there with catches. No touchdowns, though. His touchdowns are very low. And you're not playing to your strengths. If you're on the 5, BG, I'll roll this to you. You're on the 3-yard line. It's 2nd and goal. I can tell you right now, I've never seen him throw a fade to Julio Jones.
That's so stupid.
I
used to say the same thing.
Not once. I've never seen him throw a fade to Julio Jones.
How many times did you guys play us in the playoffs and you're in that situation towards the end of the game, and I'm always like, just tackle Julio. Just don't let him get the fade. And they never even throw it.
Never throw it. Absolutely never throw it. So you have to coach to your players' strengths. We thought Belichick was going to be better than that, and he didn't do that this year.
That reminds me, something that I completely forgot that I did want to talk about. So I can get your genuine reactions and spontaneous thoughts.
Word.
Randy Moss came out this week, and he's always been really respectful of Jerry Rice. His whole career, his whole life, he's always said, Jerry Rice is the GOAT. Jerry Rice is the GOAT.
Yep.
I guess he finally got to the point where he was tired of answering the question, and he was basically like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm the best receiver that ever lived. T.O. is probably second. He was like, Jerry Rice ain't even like probably 3 or 4th. He was like, yeah, he's got stats, but everybody knows I'm the best. What do you guys think?
Rick, I'll let you go first.
Well, I mean, I'm too young for Jerry Rice. So the best he's the best wide receiver I've ever seen in my eyes. Him and Calvin Johnson is 1 and 2, and then Julio will be 3. So I'm too young for Jerry Rice. So I can't.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give you an answer because I am old enough. I remember watching Jerry Rice in college. That's how old I am.
What?
But I remember when he got drafted, dude. 100% I remember when he got drafted. I was 6, but I remember when he was drafted.
He played at
So-
like Mississippi Valley State.
Yeah,
How the
I'm
hell
not
do you
saying I
remember
sat down
seeing
and
him in
watched the
college?
full games. I'm saying I just remember when he got drafted and seeing highlights of him coming out of college. You know what I mean? That it wasn't like ancient history. It wasn't watching.
I
I
remember
was watching
him going
Lynn
off.
Swan and Lance
I
Allworth
remember
play.
him going off on the Bengals in the last 2 minutes of the Super Bowl. That's what I remember.
That was in '88. That was the last time Cincinnati was good. But all right, so you're talking about Randy Moss. Okay, Jerry Rice, number one, first and foremost. Jerry Rice, the best wide receiver to ever play football. Jerry Rice is in the conversation of best football player, regardless of position, to ever play the game. Randy's probably second. Now, if Randy had a tenth of Jerry Rice's work ethic and team, a dedication to team and dedication to his to his craft, he may have been the number one wide receiver of all time. If you want to talk about just putting on pads, no practice, no coaching, no nothing, who has the most raw talent, I'll give that to Randy 99 out of 100 times. But as far as just talking about the best, it's talent takes you so far. Work and attention to detail takes you the rest of the way. No one was more, that attention to detail was
Legendary.
never as tight with
Legendary.
anybody as Jerry Rice. His off-season workout plans when he was running up hills and dragging cars behind him as a wide receiver, this is not a world's strongest man competition right here. This is a guy getting in shape to play NFL football. He used to catch bricks. His father was a bricklayer and would throw him bricks, and he would catch bricks, and that's how he got the soft hands. It's Jerry Rice is number one.
They used to
I'll give Randy number two.
Like when SportsCenter was really new and they had nothing, like no programming, they would always show Jerry Rice in the offseason running up that mountain and like just constantly working, running routes. The one thing that, as soon as Randy Moss said it, the comparison that came to my mind is how we always talk about Tom Brady being the most accomplished quarterback, but Elway being the most physically gifted, best, most athletic, pure talent at the position. And I feel like
difference between best and accomplished. Agreed.
I feel like that with Randy Moss is he was definitely the most talented. He was definitely the most athletically gifted. One-on-one, you need one play. You want to throw up one ball, you're putting in Randy Moss. But
now, my question:
you need one game to win. You're playing Jerry Rice.
Now I'm gonna toss it back to you here. All right, I'm taking Jerry as the number one, and I'm gonna be Randy. I'll give him two, but the distance between 1 and 2, Jerry's above for me. There's a little bit of space, and then there's Randy. Bunched with Randy, Calvin Johnson's not far off of Randy.
No, and you got to put
and Julio ain't far off either.
You got to put T.O. in there. T.O. has the numbers, and he was an athletic freak.
But the thing that hurts T.O. is the other guys seem to be better.
I'll tell you the dude who never gets enough respect is Chris Carter.
Yeah, all he does is catch touchdowns.
Chris Carter had the best hands I've ever seen in my life. And if you go back and look at Chris Carter's season numbers from season to season, every year was 105 catches, 110 catches, 13 touchdowns, 14 touchdowns, 15.
You know why Carter doesn't get the same pub that those other guys do?
Dante Culpepper.
Well, no. Well, we'll talk about Culpepper at another time. UCF alum. But it's because we've all seen Julio catch a slant and gone. We saw in the Super Bowl. You brought it up against the Bengals. Another Super Bowl when the Niners played the Chargers. They were still in San Diego then. The first or second play of the game, he took a slant, went right at the seam, and was gone.
Yeah, for 80, 90 yards.
We don't have any of those. T.O., we've all seen him stiff-arm somebody, and they had spectacular highlight-type plays. Whereas Chris Carter, for lack of a better term, he was a boring wide receiver. He just went out.
Yeah, he was like a possession receiver.
Yeah, 10 yard. He was Michael Thomas before Michael. He was a better version of Michael Thomas.
Before we go, me, the most boss stat line ever to me is Randy Moss against the Cowboys. 3 catches, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns. I'll never see anybody do that again, and that's the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my life.
Now, Jerry had a response to Randy. He said he can go ahead and take best ever at the position all he wants. He goes, it's all about rings. I got a handful of them. Where's his?
Yep. Randy Moss ain't got none.
The other thing with Randy Moss is, and I actually thought, BG, I thought you were going to bring this up when you started talking about the receivers back in the day. 88 was when they played the Bengals in the Super Bowl. That wasn't his rookie year. He's been in the league for a couple of years by then. In the 80s and through the mid-90s, you could straight blast a wide receiver coming off the line. You had one coming in the middle. You could pull them and push them. The pass interference isn't, it wasn't back then what it is now.
Yeah.
So Jerry can say, listen, if I played under the rules that you played in, damn right, I would have had multiple 2,000-yard seasons if he had played. And would have had multiple years of 20-plus TDs.
And, go back and look at Jerry Rice's numbers. There's a couple years where he had 1,900 yards.
And 21, 22 touchdowns.
But just playing devil's advocate. But playing devil's advocate, is there any leniency that Randy Moss gets because he never had Joe Montana throwing to him? He had Tom Brady for, 2-3 years?
But, all right, so with Randy, with regards to that, Randy Moss had Dante Culpepper, and Culpepper did win an MVP. Or did he win it, or he was in the running? I think he won it.
Randall Cunningham won the MVP.
Randall won the MVP, and Dante was in the running for it. So don't forget Jeff George for a year or two there. So he had guys. he may not have had
Walsh as the coach, by the way.
He maybe didn't have Brady or Montana throwing him the ball, but he also didn't have Cleo Lemon and backward. He didn't have Dwayne Haskins for instance throwing him the ball. He had pretty good people throwing the ball. And by the time that Randy came into the league, the rules had been switched to, for more of the offensive guys to get some bigger numbers out there. They wanted a more exciting league for TV and for fantasy and all of that. Jerry, hands down, this is going to be a Jordan LeBron thing. The younger people are going to say that it's Randy because they've never seen Jerry play. And then, the older folks, the old heads like me are going to be like, no, dude, Jerry Rice is the best wide receiver ever. Now, if you're doing a weird science thing and you're actually creating a wide receiver in a lab just for physical tools, it's probably Randy or Calvin Johnson or Julio at that point.
It's Randy because he was more explosive, faster, jump higher. He would go. They call it getting mossed. Going up over somebody and catching it.
Yeah, back in Marshall, he ran like an unofficial 4.19 40 once.
Yeah, the guy was 6'4", 6'5".
That stride length is insane.
Ran like a deer. You couldn't cover him, man.
No one is ever going to talk about Randy Moss in anything other than being one of the best receivers, A or B. But he ain't Jerry. He's just not Jerry. If Jerry Rice played right now, Jerry Rice would literally have 2,300 yards and 27, 28 touchdowns.
Oh, my God. With these rules, Jerry Rice would go nuts.
You can't touch him.
But think about how sick it must have been to go to that high school in West Virginia and watch the basketball games where White Chocolate is throwing alley-oops to Randy Moss. The only exciting part ever about West Virginia history is the basketball games when they played.
Didn't Eson play against them?
In high school, and I'm not sure if he played against him or if they were like a year out, like he was, there's a year difference where they may have missed each other. I think Randy's a little bit older. Randy's a little bit older than us there. But yeah, in West Virginia, he definitely said that he saw him play. And Randy was just as good a basketball player as he was on the NFL.
Imagine you have to play against them in like a state basketball tournament and you get to the warm-ups and Randy Moss is just doing like tomahawk dunks in the warm-up and shit.
Well, I'll give you and we're over an hour here, but I'll give you.
I gotta ask one more thing before we go.
But before you go, hold that on pause. I'm gonna tell you something about my high school basketball team. My sophomore year of high school. Now I didn't play on the team, but of course I went to the school. My sophomore year, we played in the state championship against Vince Carter's team. So if you want to talk about in warm-up, seeing a dude freaking doing 360 windmill dunks and all that, that was us. Now, we lost. It was a closer game than you would think. We only lost by 4.
I feel bad for the dudes that had to play against them.
Exactly. We only lost by 4. It was 51, 55, somewhere in that area. But I remember Vince Carter scored 40-plus of those points. And the other ones that I'm sure he assisted on the ones that he didn't score.
Yeah, he probably took it easy on you.
Yeah, and then he went over to Carolina, and I rooted for him. I'm still rooting for him today. But go ahead. You got a question.
I got to ask one more thing. Why do people continue to try and jump on Derrick Henry's shoulder pads, and he's just straight spiking people off the ground? Can you drop a clip in here in the post?
Absolutely.
Just one of them where he just stiff arms and slams people into the ground.
I don't understand that either.
You got to
get the guy around his ankles.
Yeah, you got to have penetration. You got to hit him before he gets
block him at the knees. You're not going to jump on that dude's shoulder pads and bring him down. He's just going to spike you.
I think he might. If you time going at his knees wrong and the knee is coming up, he may knock you out of the way with the actual knee. That guy is somebody I didn't think was going to be as good as he is in the NFL. Me too. I thought he was a half a step slow. I didn't realize he was as strong. He is Harry.
He's just so big, man. He's like a
so
defensive
strong,
end.
dude. He's so strong. And but he's got some burst to him. He gets out in the open. He pulls away from people. That's a big dude. He's. I wonder if Eddie Lacy could have stayed out of the Golden Corral if he would have been anywhere as good.
No, Eddie Lacy was nowhere near the athlete that this dude is.
This is true. This is true. But anyway, I'm going to give you the stiff arm right now. We're ending on that. So boys, Merry Christmas. If we don't see you before then, keep an eye out. We got more minis coming on the way.
Happy
we got
Kwanzaa.
some question and answer stuff going to. Happy Chris Mahana Kwanzaa. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Later.